Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Congress says it has a deal to end the federal government shutdown. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Carroll in for Maya Trabulsi. San Diego's congressional delegation is split along party lines on the Senate's proposal to reopen the government. And KPBS reporter Katie Anastas says concerns about health care costs aren't going away.
Sunday night's agreement would back pay federal workers who've gone unpaid during the shutdown. Workers like Jariel Taylor.
It's been affecting us a lot, kind of just the fear of the unknown, not really knowing if we're going to get paid or not.
Taylor stopped by Feeding San Diego's food distribution event at Veterans Village on Monday. She worked at Naval Air Station North Island until about a week ago when her contract ended. She hopes she'll be able to access veteran services soon.
Now that I'm a veteran, I do have education benefits that I'm owed, the GI Bill, all the things, and those things can't be given to us. As far as the housing allowance, they can't be given to us if there's nobody working there. So
the agreement would also fund federal food assistance through September. Akila Templeton leads Veterans Village. She says there's still a lot of uncertainty about what's next.
We are going to be here to fill the gap for as long as is necessary. We know that even though they have started to slowly distribute some of the SNAP benefits, not everyone has received their benefits. We don't know how long they will receive their benefits. We don't know if they'll receive benefits next month.
The House of Representatives must also pass the funding bill before the government can reopen. San Diego's 4 Democrats say they'll vote against it. That's because the spending bill would not extend subsidies that help millions of Americans afford health insurance. California Senators Alex Padilla and Adam Schiff opposed the agreement. Padilla wrote in a statement on social media, quote, "This Republican deal ignores the fact that millions of families are about to lose their health care coverage because of skyrocketing costs. A promise to potentially vote on it next month does nothing to address the health care crisis we are in today," end quote. Republican Congressman Darrell Issa's office says he'll vote in favor of reopening the government. Katie Anastas, KPBS News.
San Diego International Airport is dealing with dozens of delayed and canceled flights today. And it's not just the ongoing federal shutdown that's an issue. As Karen Kafa reports, the season's first Arctic blast in much of the country is adding to the travel mess.
Their flight from New Orleans to Chicago was canceled, but when they hopped into a rental car north, Grace Butler and her boyfriend encountered another snag in Illinois early Monday. The cascade of flight delays and cancellations related to the government shutdown has met an Arctic air mass poised to chill the eastern 2/3 of the country. Monday's big snow totals branching out from Chicago and around the Great Lakes and compounding an already messy situation at some major airports.
I'm exhausted. I am tired. I am mad. I had to call the customer service. They couldn't give me anything.
Delays due to air traffic controller staffing shortages began early Monday at airports including Chicago's O'Hare, Phoenix, and Dallas. This after the worst weekend for air traffic control staffing since the start of the government shutdown, as controllers are asked to continue to work without pay.
When the most disciplined safety workforce in America is forced to think about survival instead of public safety, this is the cost.
Some passengers exhausted by a lack of options.
When I got here to get my flight to Seattle today, because they didn't have Portland, the Seattle flight is delayed, so I cannot get to Seattle, so I cannot get the train to get to Portland.
Meanwhile, the Arctic blast has the potential to bring record cold temperatures Tuesday morning as far south as Florida. In Washington, Karen Kafa, KPBS News.
As we head throughout the next couple of days, very mild but breezy conditions will continue to persist in the forecast. After that, I am tracking some pretty good rain chances. We could see a month's worth of rainfall here over the next couple of days. Stay tuned for that. But overall, the good news is the weekend still looks good. I'll have an updated look at that extended forecast coming up.
The ICE detention center in Imperial County is looking for a doctor. Reporter Corey Suzuki says the announcement comes as the Trump administration moves to hire more health workers amid the growing number of people dying in federal custody.
The role, a part-time physician, was posted early last month by Management and Training Corporation, or MTC. That's the private prison company that runs the Imperial Regional Detention Facility in Calexico. The job posting raises renewed questions about the quality of medical care at the Federal Detention Center. Just weeks earlier, a Chinese immigrant had a seizure inside the facility and died in custody.
It's certainly in line with what we're seeing across DHS.
Diana Shaw is a former Assistant Inspector General at the Department of Homeland Security. She says the hiring announcement fits into a nationwide push by DHS to hire dozens of health workers as the federal government jails record numbers of immigrants. Shaw says the additional personnel will help, but she says it won't be enough to address growing health and safety concerns.
It will address some of the concerns, but with populations of the size that we're seeing, it's going to require more than just additional staffing.
2025 has become the deadliest year in decades for immigrants detained by the U.S. government. Last month, an NPR analysis found at least 20 people have died in ICE's custody so far, including from tuberculosis, strokes, and respiratory failure. Many people being held in detention have never even been charged with a crime. Entering the U.S. illegally is a civil offense, not a criminal one. The Imperial Detention Facility in particular has a record of violating ICE's own health standards. In a statement, MTC said they were committed to meeting the highest standards of safety and medical care. Corey Suzuki, KPBS News.
The Sierra Club has filed a lawsuit over the San Diego County Board of Supervisors' recent approval of a housing development in North County. KPBS North County reporter Alexander Nguyen says it's the latest in opposition to the 111-acre project.
This pastoral land just west of Escondido is the site of the proposed Harmony Grove Village South project. A developer wants to build 453 residential units here, but the Sierra Club wants it to remain as is.
The county's own general plan and calls for keeping this area rural, just like we see today.
So they're suing under CEQA, or the California Environmental Quality Act. The suit alleges the housing development conflicts with the county's sustainable growth policy and that the Board of Supervisors relied on outdated environmental reports to approve the project. Dave Hogan is the legal chair for the Sierra Club.
For the new approval, they were required to consider current fire safety rules. They were required to consider current rules for calculating how far people are going to be driving for commuting to jobs and the like, those vehicle miles traveled. But they didn't do that.
The suit is the latest in opposition to the Harmony Grove project. The Sierra Club also sued in 2018 because the project didn't have a second emergency escape route.
Today, the project as approved only requires access on this one narrow road to go out towards Escondido.
This road is the only road in and out for this new development, but this is not what the lawsuit is about. It's about greenhouse gas emission and vehicle miles traveled.
We're challenging the developer's failure to adequately consider the amount of greenhouse gas emissions, both from project construction and people commuting to and fro.
The developers argued that the project is consistent with the county's smart growth plan because it's close to transit and businesses. But Joseph Manrique, who's lived in the area for more than 30 years, says that's a pipe dream.
But they got to get from this area to that train station or that bus station. How many people are going to do that? That's a 4-mile walk. Are they going to do it? No.
Hogan says the Sierra Club is not against development, but it has to be sustainable growth. He says building in a fire-prone area is not the way to do it.
This is the exact opposite of the kind of housing that San Diego needs.
The county declined to comment because of the active lawsuit. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
The city of San Diego is currently building phase 1 of its Pure Water project, but the next phase might be put on hold. Voice of San Diego CEO Scott Lewis explains why it matters.
If you've driven around Morena Boulevard recently, you may have been frustrated by the state of the roads, the seemingly never-ending construction. This is from phase 1 of the City of San Diego's $1.5 billion Pure Water project. When it's complete, the facility will recycle 30 million gallons of sewage per day, putting enough drinkable water back into the system for 100,000 households. It's one of the largest infrastructure projects ever undertaken in the region, and it's just phase 1. But after a tumultuous few months at the city of San Diego, officials may rethink the more ambitious phase 2. To understand why, you have to accept a strange fact about San Diego right now. We actually have too much water. We've purchased so much water from farmers and from the desalination plant in Carlsbad that we have more than we need. Now, a fight between the city of San Diego leaders and regional leaders has broken out about whether the city should keep creating more water through recycling before we are able to sell off the excess supply we already have. These tensions overflowed last week when the City of San Diego's City Council debated and approved a compounded 32% water rate increase over the next 2 years. County water officials warned the city that if they went forward with phase 2, it was going to be even worse. In a nutshell, the Water Authority bought the water, and if there are fewer households or farmers buying it from them, they will have to charge more for it. Here was City Council member Marnie Von Wilpert struggling to explain that.
It makes no sense to me. It's really hard for our consumers to understand, but that is what we are being told is the issue. And so as we are going to buy less water from the County Water Authority, they are then going to charge us all more per acre foot.
County officials are working hard to sell that water to cities across the Southern California area or even Nevada and Arizona. But if they aren't successful, and if we go forward with phase 2 of the water recycling plan, we'll have even more water we don't need and even higher bills to pay it off. That led the chairman of the County Water Authority, who also works for Mayor Todd Gloria, to tell us they are rethinking exactly how big phase 2 needs to be. The city only raised water rates for the next 2 years, not the next 4 years as the mayor had wanted. But the bills are still coming, and for now, nobody is around to help us pay them. I'm Scott Lewis for Voice San Diego, and that's why it matters.
Voice of San Diego is one of our partners for the Public Matters Initiative. You can learn more at kpbs.org/Public Matters. Borrego Springs is one step closer to getting a new fire station. KPBS reporter Elaine Alfaro says it would be built on land recently donated to the county.
County supervisors last week accepted a 6-acre land donation in Borrego Springs to build a new fire station. The plans fit into a broader vision dreamed up by local resident Bill Wright to create a central hub of services for the small town. Here's his son, Daniel Wright.
My father was a true visionary. He was a 50,000 feet kind of guy. He saw things from a high elevation, and he had dreams about making Borrego Springs a better village.
Borrego Springs resident Jim Wormers says the new fire station is desperately needed.
Yeah, the current fire station, it's been in that location for decades, and it's quite old, and it is no longer serviceable to the modern standards of fire stations.
The new building would be near the town's library, which is also on land donated by the Wright family.
If we have nothing else, we do have unity, and we have resolve to move forward and do something great.
The county is also looking into the possibility of an around-the-clock healthcare facility. County Supervisor Jim Desmond said Borrego Springs doesn't have one.
Healthcare has always been an issue as well for as remote as Borrego is. And the county right now is working through all the details for land for both a fire station and for hopefully in the future a urgent care type of medical facility that would be run by somebody else, a third party, not the county.
Desmond said it's too soon to say when these goals will start becoming a reality, but accepting the land is the first step. Elaine Alfaro, KPBS News.
I'm Jeff Bennett. Tonight on the NewsHour, we speak with Democratic senators who support and who oppose the deal to end the government shutdown. That's at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
An Oceanside nonprofit that pairs specially trained dogs with wounded service members is set to lose its federal funding. KPBS health reporter Heidi DeMarco explains what's at stake for those who depend on the program.
I got 3 Purple Hearts, so there's some clusters.
Well, my name is Charles Service, and I served most of my tour in Vietnam. And there was a lot of things in there that we did that we shouldn't do, or things that I don't even talk about today.
Like many veterans, Charlie Service returned home carrying the unseen scars of war.
What happens to a person who does that kind of stuff, you come back with a severe PTSD. That's what I have.
U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs data show about 7% of veterans will experience PTSD during their lifetime.
I had a psychiatrist that was working through the VA. We talked about getting a service dog. She said she thought it would be a good thing.
That's how he met Chance, his yellow Labrador retriever. Service says Chance has done more than calm him down. He brought him back to life.
Well, before I had him, I wasn't a very good person. I was kind of like, I was down all the time, depressed. The PTSD would kick in. But then after Chance comes along, it's different. He's kind of like my right, left arm, or leg, and all the above.
They train together at Freedom Dogs. It's a nonprofit that pairs service dogs with veterans and active duty military living with PTSD or traumatic brain injuries.
And that's Lucy Stryker.
We are here at our training center in Oceanside, California. And this evening we are going to be working with our participants on a mock restaurant.
So I would either say he's an alert dog because he helps alert you to anxiety and so
The organization may soon lose its largest source of funding.
We had a grant this past year for about $247,000. That was 42% of our operating budget. So it's a significant impact.
Peggy Poore is the organization's executive director. She says that funding comes from a Department of Defense grant. Earlier this year, the grant was cut from the Senate's version of the defense bill, currently being negotiated by Congress. Freedom Dogs currently serves about 25 participants. Poore says without the funding, it could drop by half.
We will receive our final payment in December of this year, and then we're done.
She says that support can be life-saving. More than 6,000 veterans die by suicide each year. A 2022 study found veterans paired with service dogs had fewer PTSD symptoms, less suicidal ideation, and better social functioning than those without them.
They already struggle with their sense of value. Everything that they have sacrificed, everything that they have lived for, comes down to a number. And now to pull funding for the service dogs,
that is often their last-ditch effort, is devastating.
Freedom Dogs also helps service members struggling with the transition to civilian life. Chris Rojas says he's leaving the Marine Corps early because of mental health challenges.
Getting told you're getting out and you have all these, mental health, disabilities and issues you have to deal with. I mean, it's definitely like heartbreaking to think you're broken and you kind of get hopeless.
Rojas joined the program over a month ago. It will take about 2 years to be matched with his own service dog.
And I think this place really give me at least a lot of hope in that I can be okay after. And I'm seen as a human and not a robot. I'm not just a number anymore.
Poore says the dogs offer something medicine can't.
The dogs give us a window to form a relationship and start to build that trust.
Through the training, Rojas says he's learning how to build confidence again. Getting paired with a service dog feels like a second chance for him.
I'm not scared anymore. It's a transition now, and I have hope that I can be back to normal and reintegrate and becoming successful and, good member of society again.
Since our interview in the last month, Rojas says 2 of his friends and fellow Marines have taken their own lives. One had just begun the Freedom Dogs program. Rojas says the loss of his friends is starting to hit him, but the program gives him a space to be heard, and training with the dogs is helping him cope. For Poore, it's a painful example of what's on the line.
Finding joy again, living life without fear. If you could put a price tag on that, it's way more than what Congress is, battling on approving for us.
The nonprofit is now asking local donors to help keep the program running if funding goes away.
Okay, come on, Chance, let's go.
Freedom Dogs needs that money. It needs that money to train dogs, needs that money to maintain participants like us.
For now, the other service members in the program are still waiting for their chance. Heidi DeMarco, KPBS News.
Thanks for that, Heidi. If you or someone you know needs help, contact the 988 Suicide Crisis Lifeline by calling or texting the number 988. Another consequence of the government shutdown, a special event years in the making at Miramar National Cemetery, is now canceled. The Cemetery Support Foundation was set to officially open the newly renovated Memorial Amphitheater tomorrow. The foundation added 500 seats, ADA accessible walkways, and new landscaping. The project costs nearly $900,000. Organizers say they plan to reschedule the dedication once the government reopens.
As a 24-year military veteran myself, it was very disappointing that we had to cancel our Veterans Day ceremony. But, you know, the cemetery is for the veterans and for their families. So there's many other things that they can still do on Veterans Day. There's lots of events in San Diego County.
Although the event is canceled, cemetery staff are still encouraging people to visit tomorrow. The grounds will be open from sunrise to sunset.
As we head into tonight, I will be tracking low clouds near the coast, and overnight temperatures will dip into the mid-50s, which is historically normal for this time of year. Now across the rest of the region, we'll primarily be seeing 40s and 50s here for tonight for overnight lows. Down to 49 tonight for both Oceanside and Camp Pendleton, 53 tonight in Escondido. Chula Vista down to 56. Future track radar is showing 6 a.m. Tuesday morning. There will be some cloud coverage here to contend with as you're making that drive into work. Now the cloud coverage will actually increase here as we head throughout the middle parts of the morning into the early afternoon. Here's a snapshot at midday, 12 o'clock. We will see some cloud coverage working its way across the forecast, and that cloud coverage will actually expand and even bring some rain chances up to the north. But I mentioned rain chances earlier. Right around 10 p.m. late Tuesday evening, you can see some showers developing offshore. Those showers will slowly start to work their way onshore as we head into Wednesday. So Tuesday looks dry, but starting Wednesday is when the changes really move into the forecast. Tuesday, high pressure, warm and dry conditions will continue with highs primarily in the 70s. We'll see some 80s for Escondido and some other areas. So overall, temperature-wise, still relatively average, normal for this time of year. But on Wednesday, a big dip in the jet stream is going to bring cooler air to the north and rain chances to the south. And those rain chances will really stick out here for the next couple of days. Now, before the rain moves in, it's still going to be warm here as we head into your Wednesday afternoon. But after that is when the changes really start to move in. Here's a look at that coastal forecast. Tuesday, Wednesday, everything's A-OK, but then the rainfall starts to move in Thursday and Friday. Across the inland forecast, same thing, nice conditions with really warm weather on Tuesday before the rain moves in Thursday and Friday. As you look across the mountains, we'll see temperatures even bringing a chance of ice there on Friday with that big dip of temperatures there Thursday into Friday. And then for the desert, tracking cloudy conditions on Thursday.
We'd like to remind you of the newest place to find everything from KPBS. It's called KPBS Plus, our new streaming platform. You can install the app on your tablet or smart TV to watch shows like Evening Edition. KPBS members have access to even more programs. Learn more at kpbs.org/KPBS Plus. Once again, the San Diego Padres are turning to a new manager, hoping he will be the one to lead the team to its first World Series championship. This is the first time Craig Stammen will manage a team. It wasn't that long ago he was a player himself, retiring in 2023 from a career as a relief pitcher. Many of those years were spent as a Padre.
The Padres have been a big part of my family. They feel like family to me. They've treated me like family since back in 2017, I guess maybe even 2016 when you were trying to recruit me. And I said no the first time, but it's been a yes ever since. But like, to me, that's the most exciting part about the job is I have real relationships with all these guys, and we've done some things together. Like we've had a lot of shared experiences of good things and bad things. And I'm going to lean on those guys and those experiences to make this Padres team great, and the Friar Faith will be proud of us.
Thank you. The Padres have been competitive recently, reaching the playoffs the last 2 seasons. Spring training starts in February in Arizona. The first exhibition game is scheduled for February 20th. San Diego FC are still alive in the MLS playoffs. Anders Dreyer and Amal Pellegrino both had 2 goals to shut out the Portland Timbers 4-0. That clinched the best-of-3 series. San Diego is in the top seed in the playoffs, and that means they'll host the next match. It's scheduled for Monday night, November 24th at 7 p.m. against Minnesota United. Here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. COP30, actually, this is going to be Wednesday in the KPBS newsroom. COP30 climate negotiations have begun, but countries aren't cutting emissions fast enough. NPR's Morning Edition discusses how far behind the world is and what's at stake. And tomorrow is Veterans Day. NPR is hosting a special Carlson's War, a veteran story, an uplifting story about a combat veteran's road to redemption after struggling with addiction and PTSD. That will air in place of KPBS Midday Edition. Of course, you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Evening Edition will be off for the Veterans Day holiday tomorrow, but we'll be back on Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm John Carroll. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.